You made it. Welcome back, guys. Sorry, I took a break from For Honor, and it's been about a week, and I haven't played it, and I really feel so much better. I've got all my hair back after molding for days, and honestly, I'm feeling really good about myself. But we're For Honor players, and we can't have good things, because there's basically bots in all of my games. And I've read some comments in the comment section that you guys don't experience. There's a few people that don't experience having bots in their games, and I'm gonna totally call cap on that. I'm calling cabbage, because no way that people aren't rage quitting in your games. I step into one game of Breach, and it's either my entire team is gone within the first fight, or the entire enemy team has decided to unplug their Ethernet cable. I mean, as soon as I saw the Hitakiri or the double Orochi and the double Warmonger, God bless your soul in Breach, it's basically Joe over. My experience, and I've played this over the course of many hours, like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours sometimes at a time, and I'm not just playing it just one time a week. I'm playing this at different hours of the day. I'm testing it out from 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., from the morning, the afternoons to 3 p.m. I've tested all these hours, and every single situation has occurred many times. I am stuck with a plethora of rage quitters and bots on my team. Sometimes I win games with 2 bots on my team. Sometimes the enemy team wins with 2 bots on their teams, or just 1 bot, and it's absolutely egregious. How is For Honor still alive? It's not, that's why. And it's absolutely horrible to experience. My god, I kid you not, I cannot tell you how many times there have just been a plethora of bots on my team, and my entire team is just rage quitting, and it's just ridiculous. It's a huge problem in For Honor, and I'm glad people are finally starting to notice. Look at this, look at these clips. I have games where I start off with all bots. I have games where a guy leaves within the first minute, and then we get no backfill for the entire game. Is that fun? I don't think so. I'd love to take one of the developers, sit them there, tie them down, and make them fight 4 black priors while none of their teammates come help them, and there's no backfill whatsoever. How can you enjoy something like that? How can you take this game so seriously? This game is full of clowns. How can you take it so seriously, boys? Riddle me that. I'll tell you why people keep coming back to this game. I'll tell you why. It's because when you win those games 1 versus 4, my god, it is the greatest dopamine rush any other game has given me, in my honest opinion. And so when I came back to For Honor, I really didn't expect anything to be different, although it was really nice playing other games, Ghost of Tsushima, even playing a little bit of First Descendant, and of course playing my beloved Darktide. Now, I did something crazy, and I played Conqueror for, I don't know, like maybe 30 to 40 games over the past couple days, and my god, this was the worst experience of my entire life. Honestly, I think I'd rather play Nucia for 30 games, in my opinion. Now, that's how much I really wanted to like this armor set that Conqueror had. I think it's his best one. He's got freaking chainmail everywhere. Absolutely looks disgusting, in my opinion. And I've wanted to make this video for a while. Conqueror, he's got a pretty good fashion set right now, in my opinion. I really enjoy how he looks like at this moment, because beforehand, I would say his fashion wasn't the best, especially compared to the rest of the knights. Peacekeeper had top tier fashion, Warden, one of the best, Lawbringer, second best fashion in the entire game, although probably one of the most egregious characters to use, especially if you're playing against good players. But when it comes to the best one, it's going to be Warmonger. She absolutely looks gorgeous no matter what, and no matter what you do with her, she looks amazing. However, when it comes to this character, this abomination, my girl Conqueror, my gosh, I honestly feel depressed playing this character. I honestly really tried to like her and play her more. Throughout the entire couple of seasons, ever since her rework, I have tried to jump in with her, you know, try to give her a new fashion and play her in a different play style, a little bit more defensively, a little bit more offensively now, since they gave her pretty decent offensive pressure. But after just 1 or 2 games, there just is no substance there. This character, I realize that they don't offer anything new. They have no personality and no identity. The day Conqueror lost their identity, it was a sad day, because we saw what he could have been. We saw what they could have done to the character. This is gonna sound crazy, okay? Hear me out. But we were edged by Ubisoft. I would go as so far to say that For Honor players are probably the best at edging themselves, because we expect such good things to come from this game, yet they do not deliver, at least for the most part. To be fair, you really can't butcher one of the most beloved characters and expect to not get away with it. People are gonna be pissed, I promise you. You can do good changes to feats and whatnot, you can nerf Orochi, thank god, but when you ruin a character that has been there since the dawn of time, my god, you are gonna have an uproar. People are out here with their pitchforks. It's as if they deleted Warden's light attacks and heavy attacks and deleted his shoulder bash, honestly. The truth is, I can play a bad hero every single day as long as they were fun, intuitive, but I'd rather go and live in Australia with those big ass spiders and play a hero that doesn't do anything at all and doesn't give me satisfaction playing it. Yes, the character has the superior dodge deflex, but what character doesn't have deflex or superior dodges these days? If I want to play a character that has deflex or superior dodge deflex, I'd rather play any other character in the roster because they actually are fun. Kensei even has one, but his doesn't work. Still, he has a little bit more utility with his soft feints, his wide-reaching heavies, good peeling, great team fighting capabilities, cool wall splat damages, and a sick hyper armor to go for some nasty trades. Other characters, if you want to play Orochi, if you want to play a Varangian, which is objectively a good, strong character, might be overtuned for sure, but if I'm gonna play an overtuned character like that or someone that's really strong, at least they have insanely cool animations with their heavy finishers that are so satisfying to land. The animation is just top tier. I love heavies that swing super hard. That's why people love playing Raider. That's why people love playing Lawbringer. Well, of course not anymore. Nobody plays Lawbringer anymore. Nobody. Raider. Warmonger's heavies are super duper satisfying. And we also have Shigoki. Shibanki's heavies are so good, and especially his Demon Ball, absolutely hilarious to use. And I will say, Conqueror, I think he had the best sound design when it came to landing a heavy attack. That splat noise, absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. But there's really not that much of a reason to use it anymore. If you guys don't remember, Conqueror used to have heavies that were very hard to guard break. It was one of the best heavies in the entire game with Aramusha and Gladiator. Those characters, it was very hard to guard break them on startup because they could just let it fly instantly and you could not guard break. I think it was about 100 MS startup from neutral, which is pretty insane. And you let them fly too because he couldn't feint those heavies. And so when you made it a disgusting read to let some heavies fly, it was absolutely devastating to their For Honor career. But now there's not really any incentive or reason to just throw raw heavies out now. This character specifically only relies on the forward dash mix-up with your unblockable and going into your chain bash into unblockable mix. The unblockable mix is a little bit more reactable, but the only new part about this character is the feintable chain bash. And with the feintable chain bash, it is unreactable and you can use a lot of cool mix-ups with it to an extent, but I'd say it's fairly boring because all it does is give you 1 damage. I think it's 13 damage without shield basher feat, which you should always be running anyway since Juggernaut has been nerfed. But I tried to do some like cool mix-ups with this, you know, feinting and then throwing a light attack, feinting and getting some people to react and dodge. But the risk versus reward is just not that satisfying. You always just want to get hit anyways. I mean, 18 damage compared to 24 damage heavy. What would you rather take? I want something a little more threatening. And of course, you guys realize that because this fashion is just so good, it makes me want to play the character. But specifically for Conqueror, it doesn't do that. Like for other characters, it does that. When I get like a new son of Peacekeeper, I'm playing her 24/7. Even though it's super painful playing Peacekeeper, at least she has a very fun playstyle in 4v4. A very strong duelist as well. Decent team fighter if you're good enough and have decent reads. But absolutely horrible in anti-ganking, right? She has a lot of flaws with her kit when it comes to anti-ganking, especially against like really good players and people that know what they're doing. However, when it comes to Conqueror, this character, the only thing that he really excels at, is the ability to land a shield bash and using that 360-degree light attack. That is a very cool move in my opinion, but that's not enough to offset how boring this character is. Absolutely boring. And don't even get me started on his very low heavy damage heavies. When it comes to his unblockable heavies, they're only 22 damage, and I know they nerfed it before because it was actually pretty freaking strong when they were 24 damage. And I don't remember if they were actually more 27 damage. I believe they actually were 27 or 28 damage on their chain heavy finishers. Well, of course, he has infinite chain unblockable heavy attacks, but they had to nerf it down significantly because they kept cleaving through everywhere. The hitboxes is pretty decent. It's not the best, obviously, when you compare it to maybe Varangian's hitboxes, which are really, I think they are the best heavies in the entire game, especially when it comes to his unblockable heavies. But with Conqueror, man, I'm telling you, when I'm using this character, when I'm anti-gaking, when I'm stalling with her, she doesn't really offer anything new besides doing the occasional target swap attack and then going into your full block from time to time. And with her new full block, of course, you can do it after every single recovery, but the only time you can really utilize this on people is when you do a forward dodge bash and their dodge attack is too slow. You can go into a full block right afterwards to cancel your recoveries and punish the people who dodge attack. You can also do this with letting unblockable heavy finishers fly, and if they throw a dodge attack, you can actually punish them with the full block recovery cancel, and that's pretty sick too. But there's so many other characters that just do this so much better than him. And really, don't even get me started on how Orochi and people with very good dodge cancel recoveries can just zone and then dodge cancel out of the way, and my supposedly guaranteed full block punish is not even going to hit them because they can just dodge cancel away. At least with Aramusha, the top one is probably, I mean, the top one's going to hit, and so is the heavy attack, and that's why Aramusha's blockade is just so much stronger. He also has wall splat opportunities. Same thing for Varangian. You have like a bajillion different options. You have a zone attack, you have a light attack, you have a side heavy attack, you have a top heavy attack, you have the ability to just stand there and do nothing and look menacingly and stop everyone from in their tracks and just make it so that their pants are down when you're just looking at them. Just having them hit your guard. They just stare at you in fear because they know that you're the best character in the game. They just know it. And they basically just turned you into a low T beta male cock. I swear to God, that's what Varangian does to me at least. And when we compare it to Conqueror, my girl Conqueror, she's got the light attack, the 360 degree, which is pretty good, but it also has a very big hitbox that clips walls all the time. And then of course we have his uppercut, and that is a pretty cool animation. However, that's pretty much it. 13 damage for that. I mean, in comparison to characters like Varangian, Aramusha, they get a lot more, like 20 damage to 16, and then Varangian gets a huge amount of damage with her, plus the ability to pin people. It's like, my gosh, I believe Varangian's does 20 damage on the top one, and then the side one is 18 damage. Correct me if I'm wrong, but is there anything that is redeeming about this character, guys? You guys will have to let me know. I know back in the day, it was a lot easier to do. There's this cool tech with Conqueror where you go into full block. You can do this with Warlord too, but I feel like it's a little bit easier to do with Conquerors, where you go for a heavy feint or you just stay in full block. And then what you do is you exit out of it and you attempt to parry whatever they're throwing at you. Because some people like to attack when you're going in full block, which is kind of crazy, of course. But you have this pseudo mix-up where you stay in full block and they try to GB you, and then you can just let light attacks fly. But in the olden days when Conqueror did that, you had a full block and you can just throw a raw heavy out, anticipating them to garbage you, because the startup on your heavy attacks was so freaking good that you can let raw heavies fly. But now, I think it's a little bit hard to do that. You kind of have to rely on light attacks, and if you wanted to make an insane read, you have to do the heavy attack very, very early, and I don't think that's worth it in this economy, in my opinion. And so with Conqueror, when you do that full block, you attempt to parry whatever attacks coming your way, and that kind of puts you at a disadvantage in a lot of ways, because one, your DPS is so low. This character has just low damage, low DPS. When I'm fighting a character, I feel like I'm using so much stamina for my chain bash and going into my mix-ups and just waiting to stall things out, because there's tons of characters that have very strong offensive pressure, and this character just doesn't have anything interesting when it comes to dealing a lot of damage. Even the wall splat damage is not even that good. I can charge my unblockable heavy attacks, and depending on how far they are, I can land a really nasty and satisfying unblockable charged top heavy, and it's pretty cool. But the damage is not even good as comparison to like maybe Kensei top heavy finisher, which is 34 damage, mind you, pretty freaking insane. And Afira's wall splat, which deals like 40 damage, absolutely ridiculous. I've also been trying to mess around with other feats too, going for speedy revive. I've done Juggernaut, and I've done Shield Basher, and then I've done Heal on Block. I also done Pugno Mortis, and then I've been really gravitating towards Uninterruptible. You guys have seen me use it with my Conqueror. I think Uninterruptible is basically, of course, it's going to be the better Juggernaut, and you basically get super armor. It's really sick. I think it's super duper fun. For tier 4, I think that's the only way to have fun with this character, is once you get to your tier 4, and then maybe your tier 3, you can start playing the game like every other character in the roster. Because with this, you can kind of act as a really strong tank, and tank that basically doesn't give a shit about any other character. You can just keep light attacking, heavy attacking when they're attacking you and getting into the mix-up, or when they bash you. They don't have much time. You can always guarantee a light attack, which is pretty sick. But I mean, that's a tier 4, right? A tier 4, you want something to be devastating. Fear itself, Fire Flask, Spear Storm. Uninterruptible as a tier 4 is like Juggernaut at home when it wasn't, or when it's nerfed actually. That's what it kind of feels like. I also tried to anti-ganking a lot with this character, and I think the dodge bash is pretty good, but of course the iframes is not as amazing as my boy Shibanki. And against like very strong characters like maybe Jang-Jun, Shigokis, and maybe Centurions, and when it comes to ganking, well, the Centurion has to know how to gank, and also the Jormungandr, when they don't know how to gank perfectly and you're just fighting against like solo queue players, it's actually pretty easy to defend against them. But what characters like Shinobi, Jang-Jun, Afira, those characters, Orochi even, man, good luck to you trying to survive that. Conqueror used to be a very strong anchor, but at this moment in time, he's pretty mid. He's honestly very mid in my opinion, and you have to work so hard to defend against all these heroes because you have to make good reads against them. I feel that Conqueror has really been left behind and he's been shafted, and I've said this time and time again, and I always make videos talking about her because I really like the character and I want her to succeed. I want her to be fun. I realize that a lot of people don't actually play the character anymore. I always see people come to my stream and be like, oh, play this character. I'm like, oh, I don't want to play him. And then they know why I don't want to play him, because the character is just so mind-numbingly boring. There's just nothing interesting about her, and she doesn't really have any interesting quirks about the kit. You have a cool full block that doesn't even have amazing startups in comparison to like other characters when they have so much utility with it. I mean, just look at Varangian and Aramushas, and even my boy Black Prior. You have so much opportunities to do some big damage with your full blocks. Some of them have lower speeds like a Black Prior, but you get a huge amount of damage, 24 damage for landing a very strong full block. Aramusha's 20 to 16, very strong stuff. And of course we have Varangian with a bajillion freaking options, which is incredibly fun. Like, I know why people play Varangian. It's because she's fun, she's strong, she deals with all the bullshit, especially all the Orochis and all the Berserkers. Like, I get it. It's fucking fun playing this character. You actually get a stomp on those S tiers. I've also said this time and time again, is that I could give two shits if a character had very high damage punishes. Make me a character that does 20 damage heavies, okay? But allow me to play him in a very fun way. Like old Lawbringer with heavy parry punishes, let me get the impales after heavy parry, okay? And then just let me deal 20 damage total, and also let me deal 20 damage for light parry. Like, I could not care less about that as long as I could do the impale into long arm mix-ups or all that stuff. Make long arm bannable, maybe perhaps from neutral, I don't know. But as long as I could have fun doing that with Lawbringer, getting cool heavy parries and getting some nice damage and not getting a huge amount of light parries. That's a very hot take, I know, but I'd rather play old Lawbringer with crap damage than new Lawbringer that is much better in team fights, but such an incredibly boring. I want to freaking pull all my hairs out. And I'd also rather just play Hitakiri while watching anime or on a movie on the side of my monitors. I know most people who are playing Hitakiri, they're not paying attention to the game. They're doing something else on their other monitor. I promise you. Nobody is paying attention when they're playing Hitakiri. I don't pay attention. I do incredibly well with her. With Lawbringer, I literally have to sweat my balls off, and sometimes I feel like there's a gun pointed at my head by the Pope. I have a question for you guys. Am I doing something wrong with Conqueror? Why am I not having fun with this hero? What should I do to make my enjoyment factor higher? Because fashion is supposed to be the end game of this godforsaken game. It's supposed to make me play the character way more. I did this with all of the characters that I have. Every single other character, maybe except for Nusha. I mean, playing Peacekeeper, playing Warden. I played Warden for like 2 weeks straight because of his new fashion, and of course his rework. I also have been playing a lot of Lawbringer too, and because of his new fashion, it's absolutely egregious that this doesn't work for me with Conqueror. It's crazy to me. Isn't that crazy that you can just get new fashion or new armor sets and just play the character way more. But with this character, it's just impossible. Absolutely impossible. Now, don't get me wrong, I am doing pretty well in matchmaking lobbies against medium tier players, higher tier players. A Conqueror is not the worst character for sure. I think he feels like one of the worst characters to play. But if you have good fundamentals, good game sense, I think he can definitely hold his own against very strong players and good characters. But you have to be on the tip of your toes if you want to actually succeed, because the best part of his kit is his chain bash, but it barely does any damage at all. You have to have shield bash, or otherwise you're only dealing a measly 13 damage. Absolutely pathetic for like a heavy hitter, and especially for a character that has such a satisfying heavy smack. It's like my god, he's slapping the booty cheeks out of every single fear out there. And you definitely can beat those characters, but it requires a lot of work, you know? It requires a lot of work. He's just not that strong defensively anymore. And I wish this character would just get another second testing grounds. I've said it before, but I want this to be true. Hopefully in the future, he will get it, and she will absolutely decimate everyone who dropped her, because I know all the people that dropped her moved on to other characters, because there's more characters that are just fun to play instead of just spamming Orange Simulator, honestly. I think I'm gonna give up on this character for a very long time now. Even when people request it, I probably won't play her just because it's mind-numbingly boring. There's characters with 2 stances. The new character that we're gonna be getting probably has like 4 weapons, because we've seen in the teaser that he's got 4 weapons on his back, so that means he's gonna have stances and a bunch of different weapons to throw out, and I love that. That's why I love Magi. Magi is such a fun character to play. Characters that have 2 stances, Highlander is just incredibly insane. It gives you a ton of different mix-ups that you can do on your opponent, pseudo mix-ups, you know, different stances, defensive styles to play, or playing super duper offensive. You know, you can play aggressive with a Conqueror. You've got literally nothing going on, literally nothing. But let me know what you guys are experiencing with this character. Is anybody even still playing? I should probably make a poll and see if people are still playing this character, because in my matchmaking games, I rarely ever see her. I rarely ever. All I see are Shaolins. I actually see more Lawbringers than Conqueror, because at least Lawbringer, I think people like playing the Hyper Armor hybrid moveset, because you can actually trade and get some nice team fight damage in, and of course he still has his Adamortem, Itamiku's like insane top light parry. Just freaking the best light parry animation in the entire game, in my opinion. And of course the voice line's top tier. You just can't go wrong with light parry and Lawbringer. So if you love light parrying, you can still play Lawbringer. But for Conqueror, there's no reason to play this character, because every single other character does what he does in so many ways and gives you more depth. Conqueror has no depth. He's just chain bash, that's it, and then unblockable. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I'll be posting way more For Honor stuff soon, because the new character is coming out soon, and I'll be posting more Darktide too at the same time. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for the support. Leave a thumbs up and a comment. Appreciate all your support, guys. Bye bye. See you later.